So today, on the belated Labor Day episode of The Friar Place, I'll be sharing with you what it was like for me to almost die one Labor Day weekend many years ago, and especially what I learned about myself from it. And because we're in the midst of the Jewish High Holy Days, and because our country sure could use some help from angelic forces right about now, I'll be trying my hand at performing that traditional Jewish song, Shalom Aleichem, in a rather unusual way. And finally, because some of you have asked why the last episode of The Friar Place was blocked. So, Lishana Tova, and stay tuned. So first of all, I finally figured out how to embed a subscribe button onto my YouTube videos. It should be right down there. And though it takes me a little bit out of my comfort zone, please, I'm begging you, subscribe. It really does make a difference and will help keep this channel on the air. So if you can find it in your heart, please do subscribe. All right, so the last episode of The Friar Place got blocked. And here's why. You see, episode 8 called for a few measures of that classic, captivating song from the 70s, The First Time Ever I Saw Your Face. It was an episode whose theme had to do with the challenges we face when, well, we can't see each other's faces anymore because of wearing masks. I thought, what better person to sing those couple of measures than Roberta Flack herself? So, I bought the song on Apple Music, I read YouTube's policy on fair use, and proceeded to upload the episode to the internet, only to discover that Warner Brothers took exception. Okay, so I decided to acquiesce and not dispute the matter. We're all familiar with David and Goliath, and I had no faith in being able to slingshot my way through this one. So I re-uploaded the episode, this time with me filling in for Roberta Flack. A poor substitute, to be sure, but at least I can now say I filled in for Roberta Flack. Anyway, if you haven't watched that episode yet, it is now released from captivity and living at brotheral.org. Okay, so I never expected to be killed on my way to Mass, but that's what almost happened one Sunday Labor Day weekend many years ago. We were all in my old red Mazda 323 on our way to an African-American parish on the south side of Chicago. We usually walked there, it was so close. But that Sunday morning, we were running late, so we took the car. Moments later, as we were driving to the church, and when looking over my shoulder, I saw the grille work of an oncoming car. And that's, well, when all the lights went out. They told me later on that I had had a seizure as they tried to extricate me from the wreckage. But all I remember is waking up time and time and time and time again, assuming all of this was just a dream. But of course it wasn't. Eventually, they convinced me that I had been in a pretty bad car accident and that they were trying to save my life. Long story short, and the first insight I gleaned from the experience was, I bet this is what it's like to pass away. You just keep waking up over and over and over again, thinking it's all just a dream, until finally you realize you're on the other side. Well, I guess we'll all find out one day. Anyway, insight number 2. That near-death experience put me in touch with retribution theology, sometimes called karma. You get what you deserve. God punishes the bad and God rewards the good. I didn't even know that theology lived somewhere within me, but I guess it did, because apparently the PTSD I experienced after the accident involved a sense of betrayal along those lines, with not a little bit of anger that looked something like this. Hey, I've been a good person. Not a saint, but a decent guy. I was living a life of voluntary poverty, helping to take care of homeless people with AIDS, never missing Mass. Good enough, or so I thought. So how could this have happened to me if all my life long I tried to do everything right? Well, every year come Labor Day, I'm reminded one doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the other. Now, growing up in New York, we had a lot of Jewish friends and neighbors. They would send us cards for Christian holidays, and my mother would send them cards for Jewish holidays. It's just the way things were back then. I remember my paternal grandmother telling me stories about what it was like being a Shabbos Goy in the apartment building she grew up in the Bronx. I always found that fascinating. Imagine getting some tasty challah for just running around turning things on and off once a week. And because my father spent years working for Morton Pector, the New York bakery tycoon, he learned quite a bit of Yiddish from his coworkers, some of which I picked up from him. And though I'm not Jewish, I always loved looking at all of the Hanukkahs warmly glowing from apartment neighbors' windows around Christmas time. I guess life is not just black or white. So since we're in the middle of the Jewish high holy days of Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and Sukkot, with the Feast of St. Francis right around the corner, I might add, we're going to close this episode of The Friar Place with my own admittedly Hamish rendition of that beautiful Jewish song Jews and Gentiles know alike, Shalom Aleichem. A song whose lyrics are especially poignant and timely for where we find ourselves these days. Faced with all the division and conflicts, the violence and the vitriol, we need those angels of peace now more than ever, don't you think? So listen to the song and maybe even pray along. Pace bene, peace, and all good.